What happens when war tensions meet economic fragility? Just 2 days before Operation Sindoor, global ratings agency Moody's issued a stark warning about Pakistan's future. From surging poverty to an energy sector on the verge of collapse, this is a close look at why Pakistan's economy is teetering. Time and again, experts and analysts have raised concerns over Pakistan's fragile economy. Just 2 days before the launch of Operation Sindoor, Moody's ratings warned that sustained escalation with India would hurt Pakistan's growth. The agency said such tensions could derail Pakistan's fiscal consolidation efforts. That means progress towards economic stability could stall. Moody's also flagged a potential risk to Pakistan's access to external financing. The country's foreign exchange reserves, it said, are already far below and what's needed to repay its debts in the coming years. Moody's compared the situation with India. It said India's macroeconomic conditions would remain stable thanks to high public investment and strong private consumption. Even if localized tensions persist, Moody's does not expect India's economy to be majorly disrupted. Why? Because India has minimal economic relations with Pakistan. However, the agency did note that a prolonged escalation could push India to increase defense spending. That could hurt New Delhi's fiscal strength and slow down its financial recovery. But the warning signs for Pakistan go beyond conflict. Experts in multilateral institutions have long flagged deep-rooted structural problems. These include high fiscal and current account deficits, political instability, low agricultural and industrial productivity, protectionist trade policies, heavy government interference in business, a bloated, inefficient public sector, weak exports and a small taxpayer base. Natural disasters have only made it worse. The devastating floods in recent years have taken a heavy toll on infrastructure and livelihoods. Former Citigroup Emerging Markets head Yusuf Nazar recently wrote about the stakes in Financial Times. He said Pakistan's agriculture, the backbone of its economy, is under serious threat. The sector employs nearly 40% of the country's labor force. India's suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty, Nazar warned, sends a destabilizing signal. With political chaos and the lasting impact of the 2022 floods, Pakistan is not ready for another shock. One crisis, he wrote, could lead to economic collapse and mass suffering. He added, even if a full-scale war seems unlikely, short-lived escalations have always brought heavy economic and human costs, particularly for a vulnerable Pakistan. The World Bank, in its March 2024 overview, pointed out how recent shocks have worsened poverty. COVID-19, the 2022 floods, and macroeconomic instability have pushed millions below the poverty line. In 2023-24, the poverty rate stood at 42.3%. That's 2.6 million more people falling into poverty in just 1 year. The energy crisis is a major driver of this economic stress. Pakistan relies heavily on imported energy feedstock to keep industries running and homes lit. This import-heavy policy has bled foreign reserves, driven up inflation, and forced the government to borrow more. According to a 2023 report by Pakistan's Federation of Chambers of Commerce, 15 of the 23 IMF programs Pakistan signed were during global oil crisis. That shows a deep dependence on imported energy and vulnerability to global price shocks. The problem is only getting worse. Domestic fossil fuel reserves are depleting. Pakistan depends on Saudi Arabia and the UAE for crude oil and on Qatar for gas. Refined fuels are also imported since local refining capacity is limited. Smuggling of cheap fuel from Iran adds to the crisis. It hurts government revenues and undercuts the domestic oil and gas industry. With costly imported fuels powering much of the country and with inefficiencies, mismanagement, and subsidies, Pakistan's circular debt has exploded. The IMF has called the energy sector a major macro-fiscal risk. It said unreliable power supply and high, unpredictable costs have hurt development. Circular debt in the power sector spiked from 2013 to 2021. For the gas sector, the crisis stretched from 2020 to 2023. Pakistan is grappling with multiple crises: economic, political, and strategic. From an unstable power grid to rising poverty and looming war fears, the country faces pressure on all fronts. As global institutions raise alarms, the path ahead for Islamabad looks uncertain and increasingly urgent. Will Pakistan take decisive action to stabilize its economy, or will another shock push it past the tipping point?